Okay, here, excited, very excited here with Henrique Olifiers at his studios, no doubt, and we're here to talk one thing, ZX Spectrum Next. So, Henrique, welcome to Games You Loved, and first things first, how are you feeling less than a week into the campaign?
That's one word of surprise, right? I always hoped that we would get funded, but not that fast. The love of the community was overwhelming. Come on, being funded on the very next day of the launch of the campaign, nobody expects that, right? It's a big surprise. So
tell me about that response from the community. What's that been like across, I guess, various different channels that the guys speak to you on?
Yeah, it's especially on the Facebook page, there is a lot of love. They were asking for the date for ages now, and we have been pushing the date forward now and again because we wanted everything to fall in place before we launched the campaign. But on the Kickstarter itself, every 5 out of 6 comments is just, thank you very much for making this happen. Hey, I'm super excited, take my money kind of thing. It is so powerful, the love that the community still have for the Spectrum after 35 years. It's unbelievable.
Now tell me about, obviously you've smashed the goal there, day 2, it's great news. What about these stretch goals? What are they going to do to enhance the ZX Spectrum Next?
Right, yeah, so we have to give some of the love back, right? And we already done very close to the first stretch, which is the FPGA, the chip where all the hardware comes together. We're going to do a bigger one. With that, we can add even more hardware inside, more expansions, more modes, more features for the Next. The firmware will be open source, so the community will also be able to add extra functionalities to the Next, but it's almost like a 60% increase over the original FPGA,
so
which is a big deal.
What is that FPGA? I mean, you know, some people out there perhaps just get the specky just to play the games. What does that do for you as a...
Right, there are two ways of doing of bringing old hardware back to life, right? One way is to emulate via software. It's like the machine is running into another machine, but that brings a lot of problems, compatibility issues and so on. But the other one is to recreate the hardware inside of what we call the field programmable array with the FPGA, which is a chip that you can transform into other chips, like the original Z80 processor or the original ULA for the Spectrum, which means that the Spectrum Next is essentially the original Spectrum with a lot of stuff added on top. So you run the games and the applications just like the original would, which is very important for us. We're very precious about running things that they were intended to be run.
So this is a computer, we're not talking a box and an emulation device.
No, exactly. It's a proper computer, it's a proper hardware being there, re-implemented in FPGA.
So, you know, obviously there will be games, we cannot deny that, but you can program, you can do what you want to do as a coder on this machine.
Yeah, one of the beautiful aspects of the Spectrum is that it works outside the box. You don't need an OS to run it or anything like that. You just flip the switch and it's on. And that's a magic behind that, not having to wait for an OS to load or not having to deal with complex SDKs or anything like that. The other side of it is that the hardware is there available for you to start poking in, poking out, and stretching the hardware limits as far as you can get. As in my head, that's the perfect educational tool.
And what about the, there's been a lot of talk, we've seen some on social about the packaging. There's a book, and what about maybe how you might package in a box or the Spectrum itself? Any thoughts there?
That's a good point. The original styro, how do you call it?
Polystyrene, yeah.
Polystyrene, exactly. In Portuguese, a completely different word, isopor. The polystyrene box would be great, right? And I will check. I don't know if that's even available these days. Maybe it's like a anti-green or something like that. I have to check. But it should be a beautiful box no matter what, because that was one of the things that goes back to the root of the Spectrum. You get that box, you open it, it's everything in there. You don't need anything else. You just plug it into the TV and you go. We want a similar experience for the Next as well, right? A beautiful manual, a beautiful box, the beautiful machine that Rick Dickinson designed, all in one place in one go. So I have this thing for beautiful packages myself. Right? Who doesn't like to unbox a nicely done packaging? So we'll put some love into that for sure.
So it's got to look good on the outside and on the inside. So as soon as you receive it, you know you're getting something that's Sinclair, that's Rick.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
we have to live up to the expectations of the design that Rick created, right? We cannot box that beautiful machine on just poor cardboard excuse for packaging.
So what 5 games, perhaps just you personally, would you, when you open that box on the day it arrives, exciting time, you know, some months from now, what 5 games might you play on the ZX Spectrum Next?
Right, the
new
one
computer, you know, it's amazing.
The one I'm most excited for is of course Josh Austin's Rex, right? He already said that he was working on a new version of Rex for the Next, and I want to see him pushing the graphics and all the features that the Next has to offer. So that will be my number 1 go-to game. The second will be Elite, because a 3D game and is open universe kind of game, which I love. Sparked a whole generation of games that we now take for granted, and it has been my all-time favorite. So I will go for that as well. There are a couple of Russian games. Ice and Fire is one that I love, and it should play very well on the Next. Well, it does. I tried it on the issue 0 and issue 1, and it plays very well. And I'm hoping to see someone to use the Raspberry Pi Zero as an accelerator to accelerate games that will need more than 7 MHz to be played at, say, 30 frames per second, like Driller. Everybody asks how Driller runs on the Spectrum Next. It runs much better than the original, but still not the kind of thing you expect today, right? You need more power to be able to do that. So I will personally start working, when I have the time, on making the RPI accelerator do some extra job to get some of those most tricky games to get to frame rate.
So this obviously got HDMI. The picture, the speed. What about the sound? Any thoughts on that? Or?
Yeah. Well, the Next already comes with 3 AY chips, right? The original Spectrum didn't have sound chip. It was just a beeper, but the Plus had an AI chip, right? Sorry, not an AI. It's an AY chip, and the Next has 3 of them. And I know that Victor and Fabio are already working on the Turbo FM, which is a synthesizer that goes on top of it, right? So that needs the SLX16, which is the new FPGA, the larger one I spoke about, to fit in, if you see what I mean. We need that more space to add more features, and the turbo sound goes there. So essentially, it's probably the best sounding 8-bit machine that ever was.
There might be a few Commodore fans who disagree with you on that, but we'll definitely see. And then,
yeah, well, they may be right. And at least the hardware is there for people to play with.
Exactly. So, and sort of finally, obviously, people perhaps watching this might not have seen everything to do with the ZX Next. Some will. If you want to engage with it all, where do they go in terms of channels and?
Oh, I would definitely start with the Facebook community, right? It's ZX Spectrum Next community on Facebook. That's where there's 3,000 people right now talking about it every single second, and then people help each other with the questions. They're very well aware of what the machine can do, so you don't have to rely on me having the time to go there and answer your question. Everybody there is very well versed. But there are also very good comments on Kickstarter itself. Some people even challenging, why don't you use this other FPGA? Why don't you use this other feature, etc. It's always great to see that kind of engagement from people.
So sign up to the Kickstarter, get involved, and
very much so. Help us make it happen, right? We're already funded, fair enough, but it doesn't mean that we will stop there. We're already expanding the machine with more funding we get. So if you're interested on Spectrum, trust me, this is going to be the Spectrum you would like to have.
And you get it first if you do it through Kickstarter, so.
Yeah, get it first, right? And you should get it cheaper, because our Kickstarter is being made pretty much at cost, right? If it hits the stores, say, a year from now, I can guarantee it will not be this price.
Great, fantastic. Well, get involved, guys, and thanks for your time, Henrique, and
You're welcome.
best of luck with the rest of the Kickstarter.